you might have heard of your inner child. Healing, reconnecting with your inner child. What is an inner child? Hiya, I'm Lorna. Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I do vlogs, unboxing, and these days I want to talk. So I do kind of little podcasts. My videos are also available on Spotify, so you can listen to it without watching my face all the time. So firstly, what is an inner child? I think we all have one. It's not I think, it's true. We all have an inner child, like the one that we forgot about, that we put a bit aside, but we used to be. And when we are saying reconnecting with him, it's not only for people with PTSD or a traumatized childhood. It can be also because we also just forget, simply like this. We forgot who we are. We get lost in job and life in general with stress and all that stuff. If you got only lost in adulthood, because with work, with stress, life in general, when people have kids even, they forgot who they were when they were kids. So this is also good to reconnect with not your past life, but who you used to be, because you used to be like a total different person sometime. And I guess when you're a bit neurotypical, you tend to stay true to yourself a bit more than people who are neurotypical, and therefore you stay a bit more in touch with your inner child because you're a bit more true to yourself and to what you like. So events do not really impact this as neurotypical would be. You can be atypical and or neurodivergent and also be impacted with the loss of your inner child. It has nothing to do with it, but I guess and I feel that as a neuroatypical, I am a bit closer to my inner child than some people who are really, in the norms. But you can also be like really stressed, struggling with depression or stuff like this, and not be neurotypical, but you lost your inner child. So that's good to reconnect with it, and it's also good to know what not to do, because I feel like there's a lot of tips and there's a lot of things that people say without really imagining how this can bring also trauma back to life. So I'm gonna detail a bit what we can do and what is positive or not. So I guess when we were young, we had like really limited skills. Like we had this power of imagination. I don't know if it's really the case, sorry, but like you kids in 2024, I don't think that they have the same imagination that we used to have. Even me as a millennial, so I guess like Xennial, we have much more imagination that kids nowadays. So we should really use this foundation. We were looking through the window in the car, looking at the clouds, and we were thinking, I have like some powers, I can control the weather, stuff like that. This is maybe only me, I don't know, but really we had some really limited skills. We also didn't fear any new experiences. Like we were testing everything, and now we're really limiting ourselves as this is not good for me. I don't think I'm a nature girl, I'm not a city girl, I'm not a, we kind of say things like this. I don't know, I'm not gonna say food, because as someone really on the neurotypical spectrum, I can't say food because it's something that I didn't want to eat. I was not gonna eat it. But we were kind of inclined to try more stuff. So I think this is also good to really reconnect with the famous inner child. So the first thing that I often hear is to compare yourself to who you were when you were a child. So to compare yourself with the inner child. And I think this is not a good thing to do, as if you compare yourself too much with this past Lorna, let's say, if I compare myself too much to this past Lorna, I would be, as I lived some traumatizing events, I would be too much stuck in the past. So I have to, see the bright side of the inner child, and not only, when you lived some traumatizing events, it's often that the first thing you think about is hurtful memories. So it's not something really necessary to compare yourself with this child all the time. So when I refer to past Lorna, I often think of her. It can be past Lorna from age 6 to 15. It's not only on the 3. It's really, you can also think about you as a teenager. Clearly, there's a lot of young people on YouTube now, but teenagers aren't adult. Teenagers are still kids. Sorry. When I refer to Pat Lorna, sometimes I refer to her as a 10-year-old, as a 13-year-old. There's a meme I like, and the saying is, be the goth queen you wanted to be when you were a kid. And this is totally what I think when I think of past Lorna. Really, I think of her, of some things I said, like even when I was really, I don't know, perhaps even 18, something like this. And I think of her with her dreams and aspiration. And I'm like, see, past Lorna, we did it. Or see, past Lorna, you don't want it anymore. So you can refer to you like this to compare a bit as what you can do now. So there's also this fact of asking you what you want now. You are the adult, so you can also compare yourself with the inner child, but without, being stuck with this image and, being stuck with the plan, doing things according to the plan. This is really neurotypical also, I think. I talked a bit on TikTok about it in French, so also English speaker. It's not for you, I think. But yeah, I talked about it, and I got a lot of comments also saying, no, I'm autistic and I did everything I wanted, blah blah blah. But there's kind of a lot of people diagnosed with autism really late, who were kind of a bit lost, tried a lot of different jobs, and also really didn't had a plan. And I think that the plan, for me, not according to the comments I had, but it's really neurotypical. It's really hetero, capitalist, normative thing to do, and to say it's doing the thing that we plan to do, knowing at 17 I'm gonna have kids, around 20 I'm gonna do this cool, I'm gonna be a financial manager, around 25 I'm gonna have the house and the countryside house, and stuff like this, and I'm gonna visit Thailand. This makes me laugh because when countries are really poor, and like it's like a checklist that adults in this kind of vibe wants to do. And I'm like, I don't have a lot of money, but when I'm traveling, I'm not gonna say I don't want to go to Thailand, maybe, but it's not on the top of my list. But those people really want to make sure you see on Instagram that they went really far. And I'm like, you know what? I'm in Europe. There's like plenty of different countries around me. I mean, if I were in the States, I think I would do all the states with, you know, before I'm gonna say I'm gonna go to Spain, I'm gonna go to South Africa. I don't know. You know, so you have a lot, you don't know a lot of what is around you. You have a lot to discover around you. So it's, I don't know, I'm kind of getting lost a bit. So this is not really an inner child issue, neither reconnecting with it, but it's really something that makes me click and that makes me think of the adult you created, maybe when you were really young. But to me, it's kind of fake. Because to me, those people need to dig a bit more, think a bit more of them as a kid really young, when they were eating mud, when they were, you know, eating dust from crawling on the ground, from testing new textures, from thinking the world is magical before they got stuck in the plan. So I really think that, you know, it's good to compare yourself with your inner child, also not to lose this, I don't know, this beauty of imagination that you were born with. But there's also the thing that you can compare yourself with this inner child and also be proud of your achievement. So putting aside the plan, you can also be proud because, you know, as I said, like this meme with the be the goth queen that you wanted to be, like this is really kind of a goth girl's fantasy, I think. Or you know, it's really childish in a way because it shows a bit what you liked, and it also is kind of childish because, like, you know, fairies and princes, and I want it all but in black. You know. And this is, you know, the really kind of inner child that was mine. And but for other people, maybe it's, you know, they were like really into, I don't know, sharks and just reconnecting with it. Putting aside also the fact that maybe this is kind of a bit autistic to be really into something, but, you know, to have a really special interest. But kids also have some special interests, so you can also try to reconnect a bit with it. You can reconnect with it by making alive all your senses with sight, pictures. Also, sometimes we forgot stuff and some picture are, you know, there to remind you of it. And also music. If this is also a bit triggering, you can also focus on the good one. Like, I know some, I don't know, I know there's a song that is really, really trigger for me. I don't know. I think I've heard it when I was at my neighbor's and I didn't like the little boy there. And when I hear this music, it makes me really cringe. It's from a musical. Maybe this is why I really hate musical. And but when I listen to, let's say, some emo music, some teenager emo music, this is some good memories. So I try to focus on this part, and you know, the senses are really heightened with memories. So as I said, sight, pictures, hearing, music, or also you can touch with, I did pottery, for example, when I was a kid. So when I do some like, it's a fun activity, but when I was in hospital, sometimes if there's some pottery classes, I try to go to the pottery classes just to try and feel again this, and it makes me, you know, a bit kind of dreamy again. And yeah, I think the senses are really important because there's the because they're the first thing that you know, you experience as a kid. So something not to forget about. Something not to forget is that now you are the adult, as I said, and now you are your own parent. Okay, you might have your parents still there, and thank God for this, but just leave them for a second and think you are your own parents. Nobody is gonna control you anymore. You are an adult. You are not under the control of someone. So it's good to heal your inner child. It's good also to reconnect with him. But if the inner child is, kind of feeling under control and feeling a bit passive, you can also think that now you are the adult, now you control your life. Unfortunately, this is a bit why sometimes we tend to do bad stuff also, because now we can. Like, we are now able to eat all the junk food that we want. No, not only like this, but still, this is still something that, you can also do and experience as now you are your own parent, and try not to, still be passive. I know sometimes things are really difficult, and again, trauma events, all the stuff are something to discuss with a therapist, not me. But if you do have some, think also that now that you're able to pay your own bills, to work, to have your own house, then try not to stay passive. It's difficult because we are a lot. I often feel like I want to, I don't really own my actions. Like, I often hide behind the fact that I lost my father, blah blah blah, and I don't really own my action. And no, in a way, I'm the adult now, and I'm not passive anymore. I'm not hiding behind something that happened. It's me who is in control now. So you are also the person who decide which kind of stress that you are alluring in. And it's difficult to take our own action and to, saying, yeah, I'm guilty. Like, I'm not saying put everything on your shoulders, but I'm also saying do not put everything back on your inner child as your little sensitive creature, because you are not this child anymore. You are your own parent who's going to decide which event, which kind of life is going to enter in you, that you're going to live now. Before, you didn't have the choice. Before you were born where you were born, this is nothing to do with you. This is, I am not telling this is meritocracy. Maybe this is in another video, but I'm not saying this. I'm just saying that the feelings that we used to have when we were kids are not the same as today. So even if you reconnect with your inner child, do not pretend that you are the inner child, I think. Because this is being a bit passive when your life is now yours to decide. A kid is not independent. A kid is, you were born where you were born. You didn't decide about it. You were under maybe narcissist people, caregivers. You were passive of all this environment. It wasn't your fault at all. But now you can really do something about it. You can also validate yourself on your own and not seek over validation from others. This is something that we used to do a lot when we were kids, and even if you reconnect with your inner child, this doesn't mean to reconnect with this thing that we were a bit inclined to do when, we just thought that it was good to have an approval from a caregiver. it felt always nice to hear that your mom, that your dad, that whoever took care of you told you that you were doing it right, you know. And now that you are your own parent, you don't have to wait for this anymore. You don't have to wait for other people to validate you. I know that there's a lot of people who said, yeah, don't listen to people, people don't define who you are, blah, blah, blah. Do they really think what they're saying? Or do they just repeat it? Because it's something that we have to know when we're adults. We have to know that we don't have to listen to other people. But we all do it. We all do it because this is something that we used to do when we were kids. And some people don't manage to stop it. And some people continue forever to seek for this over validation from other people, whilst they can just give it to themselves, you know. So it's also this that is important, to not only be your inner child, but be your inner parents too. There's also something that I hear. It's write a letter of forgiveness, not to yourself, but to your traumatizing caregiver. What the actual F is this? I understand when you want to write yourself to past yourself. I understand. I didn't do it. It's kind of a waste of time for me, to be honest. I speak a lot to myself. I don't have to write it down, perhaps one day, I don't know. But once I heard, not once, but several times I heard, maybe write down a letter to, I think I did it. I did it in one of my hospital. I did it once. It was not a good idea. So hear me, guys. Hear me, guys. This is important. Do not write a letter to one of your caregivers, the bad ones. Like, not the ones like, not a super cool mummy that you want to say, thank you, mummy. No. Not those ones. Like the bad caregivers. Like the caregivers who gave you trauma. And like wanting to reconnect with your inner child through this letter that you hypothetically give to this person. Like I did it, and now I was even about to tell you this is a really bad idea, but I actually did it, and this is a really bad idea. I think this this continued my depression like for several months after this, so it was not a really good idea. So I wrote a letter to my stepmother, who clearly traumatized me, and now I say it quite loud and clear, and this didn't really help me. Like, why do you stir the pot, really? Why do you try to make your inner child reconnect through traumatizing event? If you really need to, dismantle stuff, therapy, go through therapy. Do not in your corner write a letter that is not going to lead you anywhere, but just stirring the pot. It's no. And for God's sake, do not ask them for forgiveness. You don't have to ask them for forgiveness. Forgiving you for what? To be a kid? To do some mistakes and not being perfect? They were the people who had to take care of you. So I'm not saying bury it under a lot of layers in your brain, but you can kind of do it. If it protects you, you can do it. You don't have to go through this trauma without therapy just because you wanted to heal your inner child. It's not going to heal it. Not at all. Last but not least, it's time to break the generational curse. For some people, some people don't have this problem, but if you do, if you have, I think of I think of me again. I really think that I do have some problems. I do have some issues of my own from my dad, but also from my mom. And from my mom, it doesn't stop just to her. I don't think that the problem is only her. My dad was kind of an issue, a big one and traumatizing one. It went right to me. But from my mum's side, I really think that the problem is not her. The problem is the generational curse. I think it goes right above, and it's really difficult to say, and it's really a pain to be the one that have to break the generational curse, because yeah, you are the one who is dealing with all the shit, like with all the past. For myself, it's like the past slavery stuff from my ancient great grandmother, and all the stuff that they, I think, had to deal with. I kind of even don't want to know, but we all know what women had to deal with even nowadays, so I don't want to know how in the 1920 and beyond they had to deal with. But this is something that made the woman in this side of the family really, I don't want to say weak, because it's not weak, they're still there. They're still procreated, so they're still there. But really broken in a way, because they had stuff that is not normal, and we are the one in the position, we as little xennials, as little millennials, even the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, you know, we are the one who are now stopping it. It stops now. All those trauma, it doesn't come from our inner child. It has nothing to do with it. It's okay to want to heal your inner child, but it also is important to know when the problem goes way beyond. And when you have some anxiety, when you feel vulnerable, you kind of panic sometimes, when you don't trust people, when you're really scared, you're a bit paranoid, it's kind of really common that as a woman we experience those kind of things, and it's not normal, and it's not only you, unless you had a really traumatizing even when you were a kid, like it's PTSD. Again, it's better if you go to therapy that listen to me, but still it's also important just to separate the fact that it's not only you, that you just swallowed everything from the other generational, and now you have to deal with it. Yeah, perhaps dealing with it with therapy, perhaps dealing with it by doing some, I don't know what you want to do. I'm not a new age coach. I don't want to say like meditating, do some yoga, I don't know, do some shadow work. I think I'm gonna speak about shadow work, but do everything that can help you, to do everything that can make you feel better, but do not take this on your shoulder again. This is not your fault, and it's neither your inner child's fault. So what happened when you did all of this? To me, life feel way smoother, way more easier, I will say. And I feel now, with all the things that also I said in my last video, all the little habits that I wanted to change, I feel that it's changing my way of regulating my emotion. And this is really important because I suffer from bipolar disorder, amongst a lot of different things, but especially bipolar disorder. And so my emotions and mood are going a bit like this, and when I feel anger, it's really difficult to tame it. Well, anger, you don't want to see me angry. So it's really, it's funny because I can feel that the other day I had like a comment that I really didn't like. It wasn't bad, but I not really liked it. So I felt like, you know, the rules that an emotion usually stay around 7 seconds, and then a person without a disorder can just calm it down. You know, just it goes a bit like this. It goes 7 seconds, then it goes a bit like this. And for me, it's like this, and then sometimes it stays like this for hours. And sometimes I don't even know why. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that the emotion usually stay around 7 seconds, and for me it's usually a bit more, like way more. And now I can, you know, this comment that I was talking about, just I kind of accepted it. You know, I thought to myself, what is this little comment has to do with my life? It doesn't have anything to do with my life. So I just let it go. Okay, it annoyed me a bit. Like the tone, I didn't really like the tone of the guy or the woman. I don't really remember. But I just let it go. And then I felt that it went down like a normal person. So yeah, if you're really triggered by stuff, healing and reconnecting with your inner child is kind of important, because if you connect with it and if you stop being too harsh on yourself, then you are less likely to be harsh on other people. Therefore, less drama. This is the mindset. This is the mindset that we want. We don't want drama. Now, in 2024, drama is done, over. We don't want it anymore. And I'm not saying everything comes from you, but the benefit of healing and reconnecting with your inner child is that you will understand stuff. And if you understand stuff, then you are nicer to yourself. And if you are nicer to yourself, then there's less, you know, anger, envy, jealousy, all those emotions that will really destroy your relationships with other people. So in the end, it's a really good thing to do. You just have to be careful of how you do it. As I said, like the letter, I think this is a really bad idea. Or, you know, comparing to yourself and living in the past, this is also a really bad idea. But anyway, this is kind of a, you know, how do you say? In French, we say psychologie de comptoir. It's kind of this. It's like, you know, toilet psychology. I don't know, you know, stuff like, I don't know if you have an expression, but yeah, it's not that bad. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Thank you again for watching. Hope you liked this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Cheers.